All right, Sports Life fans, this is part two. I already did my picks for the Thursday night game for Week 9, which was between the Falcons and the Buccaneers, and I picked the Bucks, which was a terrible pick. The Falcons really just destroyed them. They blew them out basically. Wasn't a contest, so I really messed up on that pick Thursday night. But let's go into the rest of the picks. Lions versus the Vikings. The Detroit Lions, I think, are playing really well, even though they coming off a loss to the Texans. But they're my sleeper team to win that division, to come back and win that division over the Vikings and the Packers. But we'll see how that turns out. They had the loss against the Texans, like I said, but they've been moving the ball well on offense, and their defense has played decent, but they're really up and down on defense. Now they've got the Vikings, who really are reeling right now. And they lost the Monday night game to the Bears with the upset. The Bears ran the ball all over them. The defense doesn't look the same as they did. The offense has really been struggling with Sam Bradford, and now North Turner steps down, the offensive coordinator. So you got an organization a little bit in shambles, and they're reeling. And I'm gonna go with the Lions to win this one. You got the Steelers and Ravens, and both teams are coming off a bye, which is not normal, but I think it's fair for this type of a matchup, this rivalry division matchup. So, Steelers versus the Ravens. Um, we know about the high-powered offense with the Steelers with Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. Those guys, they have a very good offense. Their defense has some stars like Ryan Shazier, and certain games they play really well and they remind you of the old Steelers defenses. And then you have other games where you're like, what is going on the defensive side of the ball for the Steelers? The Ravens have struggled on both sides of the ball, but they've been very inconsistent. Some games they look good, others they don't. Um, Flacco is not playing his best football right now. The Ravens defense really struggling. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers in this game. Got the Jets versus the Dolphins. The Jets, who seemed like the team that was reeling and reeling, and they were able to get a victory last week. Yes, it was against the Browns, but they had to come from behind to do it. So you have to respect that. They still have Brandon Marshall, who is always a threat on offense. Going in to play the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins, did they have a bye? I think the Dolphins had a bye last week. But the Dolphins, they have Jarvis Landry. They're starting to get a run game with Jay Ajayi. They were starting to look pretty good before their bye. Um, so I'm going to pick the Dolphins to beat the Jets because I think the Jets are just one step better than the Browns right now. So next up, we got the Cowboys versus the Browns. This could be labeled a trap game. The Cowboys got the huge victory in overtime against the Eagles last week. Dak Prescott probably had his worst game of the year. He struggled majority of the game, but he struggled against the blitz. But he was able to step up on the last drive in overtime as well as towards the end of the game and make some throws against the blitz to beat the blitz. Now this is a copycat league, and I mean the Browns don't have the talent that the Eagles have, but it's easy to copy a blitz scheme. And I see teams starting with the Browns probably trying some more blitzes. Why not? The Browns have nothing to lose. Why not blitz Prescott and see what they can get out of it? But the Browns, they've played tough every time. They have not got the win yet, and that's why this makes it a trap game because I don't think these guys have laid down, even though they haven't won a game. And they're gonna come out here and try to beat the Cowboys at home to give their fans something to cheer about. But I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. They should be able to hold off the Browns and keep them winless. Jaguars Chiefs. You got the Jaguars, who lost the Thursday night game to the division rivals Tennessee Titans. The Chiefs were able to rally and beat the Colts on the road in Indianapolis, and the Jags they have talent on the offense, but Blake Bortles is shaky a lot of times. Their defense is shaky a lot of times. And they couldn't stop the run at all against the Titans. DeMarco Murray and even Derrick Henry got in the act. The Chiefs, They were. I don't know if Alex Smith is playing in this game, but I think they're good enough all around as a team on defense, as well as establishing a run game. If he doesn't play, that they can actually pull off the victory and beat the Jags. So I'm going with the Chiefs. Eagles Giants in the NFC East matchup. Eagles, like I said earlier, disappointing loss to their division rivals, the Dallas Cowboys, and now they gotta come back and face the Giants, who are coming off of a bye. They're rested and probably needed the bye really well because they hadn't scored touchdowns in a long time. They're struggling on offense. The Giants defense is playing decent, but because of the money factor that they paid to get those guys in there, they're not playing. The bar is set high for that defense. So, but I'm gonna go with the Giants in this game against the Eagles. I think the Eagles will be a little banged up from that overtime game with the Cowboys, and the Giants coming off a bye, well rested, probably regrouped, and we'll see them get in the end zone in this game. Um, Panthers versus the Rams. The Panthers, they've had a rough season. Um, we saw the Panthers last week get the victory though against the Cardinals, so you have to give them credit for that. Cam took some shots he didn't like. The Rams, they're coming off a bye week. They'll be at home. The question is, can the Rams establish Gurley? But they haven't proven that they can. And I think the Panthers defense is playing a lot better. They played a lot better last week at least. The offense looked a little bit better as well. But this Rams defense is stout. And I think the Rams defense will be able to get some pressure on Cam Newton, force him to make a couple mistakes. And if they can just score on offense and not turn the ball over themselves, I got the Rams beating the Panthers at home. The Saints versus the 49ers. I've said before, well, first off, the Saints, they ended up beating the Seahawks at home in the dome. Seahawks are better at home than they are on the road, and they traveled all the way to New Orleans. New Orleans have always been good at home, and they pulled off the victory against the Seahawks. The 49ers, I believe they had a bye last week, so they're coming off a bye, but the 49ers have been struggling all around the board. They're still playing for Chip Kelly, but they're struggling. And now they're coming off the bye to face the Saints. The Saints go on the road. I still don't believe in the Saints defense, but I do believe in them enough to beat the 49ers. And I think the Saints will be able to move the ball and get some points. And if they get up early on the 49ers, that'll take some of the pressure off of the Saints defense and put more pressure on Kaepernick in that offense. So I got the Saints. Titans versus the Chargers. Titans, like I said, they beat the Jaguars. They had a very good running game. In that game, were able to establish the run, and I don't see anything different coming in this game. I think they'll do the same thing. The Chargers had a big victory. No, actually, they lost, I should say. The Chargers coming off a loss to the Broncos in Denver, and that's the game the Chargers needed to win. But they played well, but the defending Super Bowl champs were able to hold them off. Now they go back home and they face the Titans. The Titans, I think, will be able to establish a run, but if the Chargers' high-power offense can get out and get the lead, that'll take some of the running away and put it in Mariota's hands to win in a shootout. And I don't think he's going to shoot out with Phillip Rivers in that offense. And the defense for the Chargers is playing a little bit better as well with Joey Bosa and those guys. So I'm going to go with the Chargers over the Titans. You got the Colts versus the Packers. The Colts, they lost to the Chiefs, as I said. The Packers, they lost to the Falcons in a huge shootout, which was a great game. So the Packers played well. Now they get to go back to Lambeau to play the Colts. And I see another shootout, but I think the Packers will be able to hold off the Colts and maybe force a couple turnovers. Broncos, Raiders, the defending Super Bowl champions, played the Raiders, who had a shootout with the Buccaneers last week and were able to pull off the victory in overtime, which is a huge win for them. And now they go to face the leaders of their division, and they've got to make a statement game. They're at home. This is a huge AFC West game, and the Raiders, if they're gonna make that jump, they have to make that jump in this game. And the Broncos, they're the champs. Their offense has been decent enough. Their defense is still their defense. They still can put pressure on you, but I still think you can run at them. But the Raiders are more of a passing offense. So we'll see who wins there. I think the Raiders will be able to get them, um, get the Broncos in this game on the road. If they can establish a run game with Latavius Murray, that would really help the play action pass. So I got the Raiders. Bills Seahawks for the Monday night game. The Bills disappointing loss to the Patriots, which I expected they would lose with Brady. Brady right now, I think he's the best quarterback in the league. Um, but the Bills still have a very good offense. You know, they can move the ball, and their defense is very solid as well. So, and they're going to play the Seahawks, who, like I said, were beat by the Saints. But the Seahawks get to go back home and get to hear the 12th man to help them. Um, Seahawks have the same defense. They play well on defense. Their offense is not as high powered or anything, but they can put drives together as well. I think this will be a very low scoring game, a defensive struggle game, a lot of field goals. But I see the Seahawks pulling it out at home over the Bills. So those are my picks for Week 9. Last week I was 6-6-1 because of the tie between the Redskins and the Bengals. Wow, 2 ties this season already. Um, so that puts my record for the season at 61, 57, and 2 on these picks. So let's see how I do this week.